Okay. I'm trying to adjust my microphone right now. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a lot easier to see this all now. Okay, sweet. So let me put out the message in Discord, and I think we have no lag here. Okay. I'm gonna wait for more viewers to come in because it looks like we only have 10 people in for now. So I'm gonna wait for a little bit more for that. Seems to be okay. Yeah, I think the audio should be fine too. It by the looks of it, doesn't look like there's any lag at all. I think I fixed the problem. So what I'm gonna do with this one is I'm just gonna restart. I'm just gonna talk about what I talked about before, but a little bit quicker. And we'll get right into it, mastering order flow. So I'm gonna @ everyone, make sure everyone comes. Join in. Wait, what was the thing again? Yeah. There we go. All right, so let's get right to it. I could start where I had left off, but what I want to do is do a quick 2 to 3 minute rundown, especially for the guys here who are probably watching this after the stream. A quick rundown of what exactly we're going to be doing today and what we're looking at and what the significance of that information is. So what you're looking at here is the SMART DOM, the SMART depth of market. Now, let me first just say the reasons why we look at this, and then I'll go over the reasons of how we can interpret this. I mean, the ways in which we can interpret this. So first of all, there's 2 main reasons that you want to look at the DOM. One is to interpret the momentum of the market. 2 is to find the pressure of the market. So in goal number 1, we want to see, are the buyers or the sellers more dominant? Are there more people trying to buy? Or are there more people trying to sell? And if we see more people trying to buy, then typically price is going to rise. So let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. Here you see market buys. Here you see market sells. Now the way you want to read market buys versus market sells isn't like this. You don't look at 164.7 and say how many market buys or sells there were at that level. What you want to do is look at the market buys here and the market sells here, because we want to look at the buys that are 1 tick above the sells. Because you're going to have an offer here and you're going to have the bid here. And volume that transacts on the bid is going to be market sells. Volume that transacts on the offer is going to be market buys. So what we want to look at, and what I can pretty clearly see, happening right here, is do we see currently, just look at this, just look at the market orders here to interpret the momentum. Do we see more buying strength or do we see some more selling strength? And for sure there is a right answer to this question. For this one, I clearly see more market buying than market selling. And I see that from, we have 95,000, about 96,000 here, plus 3,000 versus 36,000. It seems like there's a significant amount of buying pressure. I'm just going to check into the chat. Awesome. Looks like everything's looking good. Yeah, looks clean. Sweet. Okay, let's go back to it, and then we'll go back into the preview, and I'm going to quiz you guys on some fun order flow stuff. So that's the first way that you want to read this. You want to look at the supply and the demand of the market orders. And to do that, you look at, the green and the red. Strategy number 2 for interpreting the DOM. You are going to look at 2 things for the strategy. 1, the present bids, the active bids, and the active offers. What we can see here is the more that this is shaded to the left, the more bids there are at that level. The more this is shaded to the left, the more offers there are at that level. Currently, I see 130K contracts worth of offer who are trying to be limit sold, and I see 454,000 trying to be limit bought. So typically when you see an imbalance in the order book where you see more people trying to buy, remember, these are people who are trying to buy. These are people who have already bought. If you see more people who are trying to buy something than people who are trying to sell, then the demand's going to overtake the supply, and typically price is going to move higher, unless we can see a significant amount of market selling or a significant change in the limit orders here. And then the final way, and this is a little bit more advanced, but I do want to mention it before I move on to the other stuff, is there is a third way to read the DOM, and that's by looking at the bid change and the ask change. Now, you don't need to focus on this if you're just new and just want to look at market orders versus limit orders. That's A-okay. It is necessary to understand these, though. But what you're looking at here are price levels that have had a significant increase or decrease in bids or offers. So what I see here, if I take this level here, I can see that many bids were actually pulled from that level. And if I take another level, okay, a lot just changed there, but you could see something like here. Yeah, we have 395,000 contracts being added at the 164.75. So that's another way that you can interpret supply and demand, by looking at how many bids are added or pulled and looking at how many offers are added or pulled. Okay, so that's really the three ways that we can look at the DOM. Now, what I was showing in the previous live stream that got all laggy because I tried to do the live stream in my apartment instead of doing it in an actual, like office, an actual place. I just did in my apartment, and that was not. It was not a good idea. My laziness led to significant lag in the live stream, but whatever. So let's go take a look at what I was showing before. You can now see how to interpret the DOM. I know you might not fully understand it. If you do, kudos to you. But if you don't, it's a-okay. But let's go take a look at some figures that I was showing before. And I know I showed this in the first live stream. So if you saw the first live stream that lagged out, you may already know what I'm going to say here. But let me just go through this really quickly. The way that you want to read market buys versus market sells and imbalances is to see, are there more market buys one tick above or more market sells one tick below? So this is diagonal order flow reading. What do we see here? Well, I see 364,000 contracts were market sold at 45.45, and I see 6,296 contracts market bought at 0.5. Now, I'm seeing a lot of people trying to sell. I'm not seeing many people trying to buy. Price dropped. More supply than demand. Now what we see here is at the 0.45 and at the 0.4, I'm seeing more people who are trying to market sell than people who are trying to market buy. I mean, 830,000 contracts versus 1769. This is just a severe imbalance. So price kept going lower. Another balance right there. And then price actually continued to go lower and lower until the market buys overtook the market sells. What does that look like? Well, I want you to take a look at what happened here. We had 52,000 market sold, and we had 248,000 market bought. We clearly have a lot of people who are trying to market buy and not as many people who are trying to market sell. What ended up happening? Well, if you had been one of the lucky ones who had bought at 164.1, that would have been a pretty good trade to take. Because you can see that we had a 183K versus a 25K, and price kept going higher. And then you see an imbalance here, and price kept going higher as well. So this is just the way that we want to read the DOM. Now, the good news is you do not have to stare at your chart all day. You do not have to look at the DOM all day and wait for one thing to happen or the other. There's a charting tool that can show all this historically, and that's called the cluster. So if you want to get this, let me actually just show you exactly how to get this instead of just showing you a picture. You go to chart, and what you want to do is go to the top left of your ATAS. We want to go up to here. I'm just going to disable volume profile for now because we're not going to talk about that. What you want to do is go to mode, go to clusters. And in clusters, some settings that I would actually recommend is to change this to, I'll show you once it loads, but to change this to 1000. Where is it? Did I pass it? Oh yeah, here it is. Yeah, I like to change this to 1000. So what that means is that it groups, it's going to tell me in the thousands how much was market bought or market sold. And then I like to also click that and auto size, yeah. Well, actually, yeah, that's fine. I'm going to change that to 8. And there are so many, 78, God. There are so many ways that you can customize this. So what you can see here, and I can zoom out a little bit to show you guys. I also have a template. I'm just going to load the template because I was thinking about, I could show them all my settings, but I can also just share you guys my template that I'm using. It's the white template, this one, and it's just going to load it perfectly. Yeah, here we go. Perfect. Okay. So this is the same thing. This is just looking at contracts that are market bought versus market sold, and this is the present supply and demand of the market. Now, what you want to look at for here is read this in a similar way to reading the DOM. You can see, you want to read this diagonally. You want to read from here to here, the market buys versus the market sells, from here to here, and from here to here, here to here, and here to here. Okay? So this is what we're going to be looking at. Now, the quick little quiz question that I had asked you guys on this one, we talked about each one of these points, but basically, for those who hadn't caught the first stream, this showed a severe imbalance because on the right is market buys and on the left is market sells. I can clearly see that there are many more market buys than there are market sells, and what did price do? It rose. Who's winning this battle? Who's larger? The sellers. The buyers are clearly larger here, and price rose. And if we look at here, we have a 74 versus 3. Now, when I say versus, I'm talking about we had 74 market bought on the offer, and 74,000 market bought on the offer, and only 3,000 market sold on the bid. When you see this occur, price tends to rise. And price rose, it went to equilibrium because it went flat, and then we got market selling, and price did fall. Now, the question that I wanted to ask you guys is, best of luck with this one. I'm not going to be leading you through this one, telling you, this is this, this is that, but I want you to take a look at the period of equilibrium / consolidation that you see here. You're looking at the market buying and the market selling, and what you also want to look at is the delta. So this is how much market buying versus market selling has occurred in each candle. Now in here, do you think price is going to go up or going to go down? Do you think that there's more supply here or more demand? And I'll ask it here. So more supply or demand? What do you guys think of this one here? There is a right answer. Price does not just continue to go flat. It does go up or down. I'm gonna give you guys till 45. So make your decision soon. All right. So here's the answer. Price went up, and I took that screenshot. It was a 1305, and 1305 on this is right here. So this is where the information cut off. Price continued to go higher. Why did price continue to go higher? Well, look at the delta here. Are we seeing more eagerness of the buyers or more eagerness of the sellers? Is the momentum favoring the buyers or is the momentum favoring the sellers? We can see from the onset, momentum favors the bulls here, and it looks like it just continues to favor the bulls. The sellers do make some attacks here, but you can clearly see that there's a lot more market buying. Now, here's a question that you probably have at this point. You may think, wait a second, I thought that price always reversed after a lot of market buying lower, and then price always reversed higher after a large amount of market selling. This is why we need to put everything into context. What I mean by that is it's not always going to be true that more market buying than market selling is going to lead to a continuation of the uptrend. Sometimes what can happen is you get a blow off top, like something like this, where we have a large amount of market buying and then price drops. And the way to discern between, is this pure momentum, and should I just be market buying here and have fun on this uptrend and just get that profit, or should I be counter trading and trying to market sell here or limit sell? Typically, I would say late in a trend, so after a trend has been established, so let's say that an uptrend has been moving up for some time, and then you see a large amount of market buying with a price tail, that is typically going to be a top. It's the steady rise that tends to continue. That high volatility, high volume kind of price move can terminate a trend. But if you see just consistent volume, just nothing really changing in the market, then price is likely to go higher. I know this is really hard to interpret, continuation versus reversal. It's hard for traders who've been in this for 30 years and traders who've been in this for 3 days. But for this, just focus on the momentum of the market and trying to compare, are the buyers stronger than the sellers? Because if you just take that kind of more basic approach, I think that you're going to find yourself on the right side of the trend more often than not. So what I wanted to do here is to show you guys another thing you can do. And what I'm doing here is I'm combining the cluster charts and I'm combining the DOM. So this is going to take some looking at. And then after this, we're going to go to ATAS, and then I'm going to answer some questions after that. I want you to look at this candle here. This DOM, this screenshot was taken. Should make this a bit higher. Oh, I can't, because it's okay. This DOM was taken when price was here. So what do you see going on here? And what do you look at the delta here, and also look at this. All right, so what we had was a downtrend. We clearly had a downtrend that, you know, began a little bit higher, price continued to go down, right? And then we have this. That is a price tail. How do I know that? Well, I have my settings configured so that this is the body. And anything beyond the body is just the tail. So that was a price tail, you know, that was a price tail. What do you see here as well? Let's talk about this delta. We looked at the shape of the candle. That is a long tail. And I clearly see a large amount of market selling, more than market buying. This delta is so extreme. We are seeing so much more selling than buying late in a trend that this is more likely than not, and with a price tail, this is more likely than not to become a reversal. How do we know that? Well, the sellers can have momentum. The sellers can be stronger than the buyers, but there comes a point in time where the selling interest gets tapped, where just no one else wants to sell. And that can happen on extreme deltas. So if I look at my chart here, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit, you can also sometimes see that these extreme deltas, like this one, we had a very, very bullish delta of, you know, some, what is that, 1.7 million here with a price tail, and what did the price do? It reversed. Here, what do we have? We have a pretty significant, you know, lower delta, and price went higher. So is that to say that every delta, you know, every extreme delta is going to lead to a reversal? No. But what I want you guys to start thinking about is when we look at delta, or when we just look at the raw market buying or the market selling, you need to put that into context of the trend. I mean, to do that, you can clearly see here that this is a downtrend. And then two, what you need to do is to see, is this an extreme amount of market buying or market selling? And if it is, then it's probably more likely not to reverse, especially if it has a price tail. So what we see here is we do have a large amount of market selling on this candle. We didn't really see too much market buying. You know, this 21,826 was rounded to 22. You can see that the values are here. You know, 154 was rounded to 155. But price rose. Price rose because of just how extreme this was, just how much selling there was within this move. All right, so that does it for just some pictures that I wanted to show you guys. I'm going to read a little bit of chat, and then we are going to go on to the DOM. Okay, so I think like no lag, everything looks good, and let me know, guys, if you guys have any questions about you know, any of this material, because I understand that this stuff is super complicated. This is like this is like 10 out of 10 complexity, and if you're a beginner to the markets, I mean, this is going to probably be a little bit overwhelming for you. But the easiest way to get through this, and I think that the best way to approach this is just one step at a time. You know, don't try to learn it all in one day. Just take it one step at a time. Try to learn the significance behind what you're seeing. And I mean, maybe at the end of the day, you can even put it into an active trading strategy if you are confident enough in your analysis. But yeah, you guys were all right. Awesome. So you guys said demand. Yep, demand. Delta is green. Up. Sweet. You guys got it. Yeah, we have more demand than supply, and price rose. So I'm liking that you guys got that answer right. Good job. All right, let's go to ATAS, and I'm going to go to the Smart DOM, and then we're going to transition that to chart, and we're going to be doing a live reading of Ethereum and Bitcoin. But please do not 100x trade anything that I say when we get to the live portion. All right, let's take a look at this DOM. Now, what do you guys see happening around here? You know, what's going on? Well, I see a few interesting things happening. We do have a large amount of market buying here. We do have an imbalance, meaning that there's more, you know, market buys than market sells, or more market sells than market buys. We have a buy imbalance here. We had actually a sell imbalance here, and we actually had something. Okay, this is interesting. We actually had an unfinished auction at down here. Now, I know that may sound a little bit complex, but basically what an unfinished auction means is when you look at the price high and the price low of a DOM, of a candlestick, typically you're just going to see market buying at the top and market selling at the bottom. But there are some situations where you actually see market buying and market selling at a bottom. Now that's called an unfinished auction. What does that show? Well, that shows that there's a significant amount of trading interest at the level of 164.7. And an unfinished auction typically acts as a pull to price. So price is going to have an easier time trading toward this level than you know, trading away from this level. And right as I say that, you know, price falls. But that is something that's a little bit more complex, and no worries if you want to, if you don't want to have to worry about that one. But then what we can see here, just let's go from this top down, okay? We have more market selling on the active Ethereum order book. We have more market selling here. We have more market selling here, and we have actually more market buying here than market selling here. Now, you may wonder, what do I do in this situation when I'm looking at the cluster chart, or even when I'm looking at the smart DOM like this? When price goes down, but I saw more market buying than market selling in an imbalance. So what I mean by that is something like this. We had 56,000 contracts market bought, but only 20,000 market sold. But price actually went lower to these levels. What does that mean? Well, typically when you see price go down, even though there was more market buying than market selling, that's going to show weakness for the downtrend. Because a downtrend, a very, very strong downtrend that's just going to go very, very low, is a downtrend that doesn't have much fight. A downtrend where just the sellers are just market selling, and no one's really market buying. But when you see price go down, but market buying beginning to occur, that's a sign of weakness for that downtrend, and possibly price could go higher. So that is one thing to keep in mind. Price is going lower. I would love it to touch this unfinished auction at the 0.7 level. That'd be fun. And also, you can take a look at these levels here. You can see that we currently have a pretty large active bid. We have 543,000 contracts and 124,000 contracts. Or is that 1 million? Oh my God, the numbers. No, it's 125,000. Okay. Very different than 1 million. We can see that there are a lot more people trying to buy here than people trying to sell. Remember, these are people who have already bought, people who have already sold. These are people who want to buy, and these are people who want to sell. So a lot of people want to sell at the price of 165.3, and a lot of people want to buy at the present price of 164.85. As you can see. Did that level just get pulled and then get replaced? Interessante. Okay, so let's go on from the smart DOM. But at this point in time, I can take any questions. I'd prefer if you did them on the YouTube. If you guys do it on the YouTube instead of on Discord. But if you guys have any questions on the smart DOM, then is this financial advice? I can't resist. Okay. Okay, so yeah, if you guys have any questions on how to read the smart DOM, please do ask them. I'm absolutely willing to take a few questions here before we move on to charts. And what I want to go over in charts is looking at a few indicators. We're going to look at cluster charts, and we're going to look at how to actively trade on the chart. So if you guys all understand smart DOM, then I mean I'll give you guys a minute. Yeah, we'll just move on to something potentially more complex. Now the SEC is going to be coming after me. I just gave financial advice to that guy. Yep, one question about the DOM. How come? Okay, lots of questions coming in. Let me try to take these one at a time, and then we'll move on. How can we avoid micromanaging when looking at the smart DOM? Well, I would say when you're trying to place an order, you should absolutely be looking at the smart DOM. You should not just be placing an order and not looking at the DOM. If you are actively trading but not actually placing an order, what you can do is look at the cluster charts, because the cluster charts are going to reveal the market buying and market selling imbalance. Why are the numbers different on the DOM and the clusters? Well, I organized the clusters in brackets of 1,000. So and they're also rounded. So if you see a 22 on a cluster, let me show that. If you see if you see like a, I'll zoom in just to show you guys. When you see like a 6, that's 6,000 contracts. But the DOM is just going to show that as actually 6,000. It's all because I need to filter this down to 1,000. Because if I was to do this and just like go to cluster settings and just put this to something like 1, I mean it's almost unreadable. Because these numbers are all cut off. 551, that could be 5110, that could be 51, that could be 5.5 million. That's why it's good to actually have a cluster's value divider so you can do that. So that's really the reason. It's because of how I like to do it. All right, 2 questions down. Okay, so Luis had a question. When we have a gap in market orders, can we conclude that the gap has lower liquidity? So price could potentially go through that level faster. Well, when you have a gap, that shows that traders were not interested in trading at that level. So it would make sense that if there's a gap, price should have an easier time moving through that level. I think that if you see a large amount of market buying, well, and here's actually a case in point. Sometimes when you see a gap in the DOM, what it actually is a high tail. When price makes a very large tail, and then you see price rapidly fall after it makes that tail. And the reason that occurs is kind of what you had just said there. It's because of the lack of liquidity, the lack of trading interest within that range. So price falls lower. How do you set up clusters so the wicks look like how you have it? Oh yeah, really good question, guys. Really, really good question. What you want to do to have it so that the wicks show, you go to settings, guys. Go to cluster settings, and then you are going to go to border type, and I can put this as candle, I could put this as body, I can put this as candle for now, because that's the tail, but don't keep this on none. I don't think that really helps. I think that it's better to show it as candle. So that's the answer to that. All right, next question. When do you advise to reset the market buys and sells on the SDOM? I would say, if price makes one wave up, if price goes 1% higher than 1% lower, I would reset the DOM, because I don't think you want to. I think it's more important to not focus on what happened before, but what's currently happening, if that makes sense. So I would say it depends not on the time frame of when do you reset the DOM, but more of where price is. So if price goes really high up, and then it returns, and then there's more action there, you may want to reset it. Unfinished auctions. Does the price tend to come back and finish it? Yep. That is something that I can transition to. Awesome. That was a perfect segue into going into charts. So I know that the DOM can be kind of hard to read, so what I want to do here is just simplify this to something a lot easier than looking at the smart DOM, okay? So what I'm going to do here is we're going to go candles, and I'm going to go to indicators, and I'm going to add the we already got the unfinished auction here. So unfinished auctions, what does this show? Beautiful example of an unfinished auction there. So what you're looking at here, blue and red that you see on the chart. An unfinished auction is when you see a price high or price low that contains both market buying and market selling. So what this shows is that price was able to go to a price high, to something like a price extreme, up to here. Perfect example there. But when price actually got to that level, of course there's market buying. That's how price got to that level. But there was also market selling at that same level. So that's showing us that there's actually a large amount of trader interest at that level. So price tends to fill the auction or resolve the auction by going back up and closing it. You can see price went down, right? Resolve the auction, it became resistance. What do we see here? Well, support, that price low right there that you see, we had market buying and market selling at that very low. What happened? That became support. Price went back down, filled the auction, and then continued on its way. Another beautiful example we saw here. At this price low of 161.5, we had an unfinished auction where we had both market buying and market selling. We see a tail go exactly down to that level to fulfill the liquidity. Also, it might be a stop loss hunt because you can see it went below here and here. But for all intents and purposes, I think that looking at these unfinished auctions can be pretty helpful. So if we go to the 1 minute, it's going to show pretty different data. But I want you just to take a look here at some of the unfinished auctions. This was a finished auction. This was a finished auction. As you can see, a lot of these auctions finished. This auction just finished. Didn't I just say like 10 minutes ago? I could swear I did. 10 minutes ago I said, oh, there's an unfinished auction at 164.7. We saw both market buying and market selling. Look where price is now. 164.6. Price resolved that auction that I had actually spotted on the DOM. And what I really like about this tool is that I don't have to look at the DOM to actually look for trader interest with these unfinished auctions. I can just look at the chart and it does it for you. Now, the question is, should we use these as support resistance? I mean, yeah. I mean, like sometimes these act as really good support. Sometimes they act as horrible resistance. I would say no. If I was to tell you how to use unfinished auctions, I would use it as a more gravitational tool, gravity, because I think having the mindset that price is more likely to fill that auction than not you can use that to your advantage. Because if you see an unfinished auction here and prices here, you could think about market selling or limit selling and, you know, getting the liquidity when it goes lower. Does that mean taking profit at the UA, the unfinished auction? No. It just means that once price completes the auction, you know, you want to look at your analysis and see if you want to close that short. And if I haven't explained it yet, what you're seeing, guys, on the far right is the live DOM. Super, super helpful. So when I zoom in here, you can see that this is how many people want to limit buy. These are how many people want to limit sell. You can also use these DOM levels as support and resistance. So I see two large bid levels on this chart. Where are they? Two pretty significantly large bids. One, obviously, you know, here. Two here. This could actually become future support. It's also right below, you know, liquidity here. But 163.6 has a large amount of limit orders at. So that would mean that this could act as a point of support. And up here, you can see that there's actually a decent amount of limit sells here. So this could act as potential resistance. The way I like to look at the DOM when I'm looking at the chart is I just want to see if the best bid is larger than the best offer. And I can see that the best bid is better than the best offer here. So price tends to rise on an imbalance, on a buy imbalance. So there's more bids than offers. Price will tend to rise. When there's more offers than bids, you know, price is going to tend to fall. So, yeah, but that's a little thing on unfinished auctions. Thank you for allowing me that segue. All right, let's go over. I'm gonna go into chat, and then I'm gonna go over some other indicators, and we'll go a little bit more advanced into this fun stuff. Oh yeah, UA. I love unfinished auctions, unfinished business. It's got such a good name too. Unfinished business as a trading indicator. I mean, like, come on, you don't get better than that. But the TLDR, you know, too long didn't read or too long didn't see reason. Yeah, we're gonna go over stacked imbalances in like a minute. But the reason why you have to know the reason why unfinished auctions work, and the reason is that traders showed significant interest at that level. So when both buyers and sellers are interested in transacting at a level, it would make sense that price is going to gravitate toward that level so that they can continue to transact. All right, let's go over the SI, the stacked imbalance, and how do we use that in a system? So for now, I'm going to get rid of the beautiful unfinished auction, and let's go into the stacked imbalance. Settings, I mean, this part is all up to you guys. However you want this set. I'll show you guys my settings here. I'll do a 250. Do we have any popping up on chart? No, we do not. Might have to go 1. No, I'll go 100,000. Interesting. Okay, it's being really annoying right now. Oh, I didn't add it. I didn't add it. That's why it wasn't showing anything. I was like trying to configure the settings because I thought that something was broken, and I never even clicked the add button. I mean, like, yeah, of course it's not going to show anything. You didn't add it. Yeah, this is a wonderful indicator. Probably just as good as the UA. UB, you know, unfinished business. I'm gonna put this at a 200K. I mean, you just need to put these at whatever you think is good. Yeah, we see some of them here. So basically, what you're looking at for this, I'll just do the 5 minute. That's gonna be, yep, that is much easier. I mean, you have to do a lot of kind of like playing around with the settings here. I know that's why I'm like jumping around super quickly. But I mean, you need to know these. You need to be able to navigate these settings. So typically, what do we do with stacked imbalances? When you see a red stacked imbalance, that means that there's a large market sell that was able to cut through multiple bids. When you see a large green, you know, when you see green like that, that means that there was a large market buy that was able to cut through multiple offers. How do you interpret this? Well, one is through momentum, one is through reversal. And I've had some traders so far say that these have just been phenomenal for reversals, and I mean, I don't blame them. We look at a few recent examples in here. we can see the price point when many people had market sold through many bids. I mean, price rose. And then when many people had market bought near the top and we had a severe imbalance of the market buys, price went down. Beautiful example here. We got a lot of market selling down to here, and we have also very low delta. And what we see with this market selling is that it's cutting through bids, and then price rises. Now, if you want to make this more of a reversal kind of thing, I would configure your settings like this. But if instead you want to actually track the momentum in the market and look at this a bit differently, you could even do something like this. This is a potential setting that you could use. Oh, that's way too much. Jesus Christ. I mean, that one's a lot too. God. 250? Can we go 3? It's like I'm actually auctioning. No. So you could use this in a momentum kind of play. And the way that I mean momentum is just by lowering the settings, I'm going to get more stacked imbalances, more being alerted to the market sells cutting through limits, limit bids, and limit buys, and the market buys cutting through, limit sells, cutting through the offers. So if you don't want to take more of a reversal kind of mindset with this and take more of a continuation mindset, beautiful example here and here. Look, price rose, and then we have a little bit of a stacked imbalance here. Price continued to rise in high demand. Lots of market buying, and it propelled the price higher. Here, price, continued to rise higher. Here, boom. And then here we actually get a good amount of selling, and that continued to go lower here. Do you see just how different these settings are? Just by lowering the settings and changing a few settings, I'm kind of getting an entirely different reading. Before we were looking for more reversals, but for this we're looking for continuations. And I mean, you can see a continuation occurred here, 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 and then we begin to see some red stacked imbalances. And where did price go? Whew, price fell. We see some red stacked imbalances here. Where did price go? Down. Yeah, we do see a stacked imbalance here, and price goes down. But typically, when we look at these lower settings, and let me just repeat my stacked imbalance momentum play settings here. Here they are. This is for Ethereum on the 5-minute. Now, it looks to be actually a potential strategy that you can use to just judge continuation volume. I mean, look here. Price was falling, and just continued to fall on these red stacked imbalances. One way that you could actually trade this, and something that I just thought of by looking at this data, if you see an uptrend, whenever you see a red stacked imbalance in an uptrend, that's going to show a massive amount of market selling and not many bids, or at least the bids are getting cut through by the market selling. So actually a red stacked imbalance in an uptrend is pretty bearish. A green or a buy stacked imbalance in a downtrend is actually quite bullish. And if we kind of just flip our mindset and just use that kind of strategy now, let's take a look. Price is rising here, right? And what we could do is, I mean, here it would have been not the best to sell at that red because price rose, but here it would have been probably pretty good because you would have had a lot of volatility to the lower side. So you could wait for green to flip to red, meaning you're going to see green, 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 green stacked imbalances as price rises, and then you may see a red, and a red is showing significant selling interest, which could mean that price could continue going lower. Another example would be, we have an uptrend, and then here we have a stacked imbalance and price goes lower. Here we have just some probably a random large market sell that the market was just like, yeah, okay, large market sell, and then price kept going higher. I mean, interpret this how you want to. I mean, adjust your settings to whatever you feel comfortable looking at. I could look at a 500, or maybe that doesn't really show me much. I could look at a 400 here and get some good readings too. But what I tend to see is the larger that I put my stacked imbalance volume, the more likely it is a reversal. This is not a coincidence because it's those massive volume imbalances, just absolutely extreme market buying or absolutely extreme market selling that does create these market tops and bottoms. But don't fall into the trap of counter trading everything. No, that's not good. That's not what you want to do. How do we take advantage of this? Well, when you're actually seeing these mid-sized or smaller stacked imbalances, or these mid-sized or these smaller size delta, that's actually showing us trend strength. That is not showing us that the trend is going to reverse. So I really want you guys to be careful when you're looking at ATAS and you're trying to scalp or you're trying to even tick trade. You need to know the difference between massive volume and just standard continuation volume. Because if you don't, you're just going to be counter trading everything, and that's not going to end well. I mean, this was the most beautiful example that I really could have asked for. Price rose, stacked and balanced red, lots of market selling, price fell. I mean, that's pretty darn good. Oh man, they're just flying all over the place here. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot of stacked imbalances. This is a lot of selling, and yeah, this would have been actually pretty good to sell with, not sell against. But of course, I don't want to just tell you guys what to do. I don't want you guys to just be told, hey, you know, this tool can only be used in this way, because when you change around these settings, you can get this to show you whatever you want. And if you want to take like a more, I mean, like a super, you know, short time frame, we could even look at the 30-second candlesticks and try to look at the patterns here, you know, if there is any. I mean, you can see a few, like a lot of selling here, a lot of buying there, a lot of selling around here. But adapt this to whatever you want. Adapt this to, I don't know, the 1 hour time frame or the 30-second time frame. And that's really the power of using a platform as complex as this. It's that you have the flexibility to really just get shown whatever you want. So that was a really fun little thing on stacked imbalances. Yeah, and you can adjust the range to see to see what you want. So we've gone over stacked imbalances, we've gone over unfinished auctions, we went over DOM. Let's go into some more fun stuff. And then after that, what I want to do is actually not trade live, because I don't know if that would actually be legal, but we're going to be analyzing the market live. And what this is going to require from you is I'm going to show you the DOM. I'm not going to be saying anything, but I'm going to show you the DOM, and you're going to have to determine whether that's bullish or bearish. So that'll be fun. We'll see how many of you guys can predict the market in real time, because that is something that is, you know, of course, way harder than looking at a chart and telling you what happened. All right, so well, actually, first let's go back to a more reasonable time frame, the 5 minute. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of my stacked balance. You guys, I think you guys all understand what delta is. It's just market buys versus market sells. So I don't really think I have to explain that one as much. So this is big trades. This is another thing that we can look at, and this is different than stacked imbalances. This is just going to show us massive trades, and what we can do, I'm going to make this a little ellipse, size 10. Okay, no, that's for the shape. There are so many settings, my God. No, minimum volume is not going to be 100. Hopefully, let's make that much higher than 100. 100,000 in one trade. So this is tracking just single trades, just single print trades, separated trades. Does that? Yeah, that's good. Okay, now let's go take a look at what we got here. Oh, it just went away. It did not like that. Oh, okay. Now it looks like we have some disease. So let's not do separated trades and crash my computer, because there's like a gajillion of them. No, you're gonna be a cumulative. Bye-bye. All right, it should switch back pretty soon. The diseased chart is gonna go back to normal. Come on. I don't want the red and green circles anymore. Man, the settings in here are just like, it's just not wanting to. What if I just delete you? Bye. Okay. Well, you're gonna put on big trades, but not get the bloated chart. Okay, rectangle. No. You're gonna be an ellipse, and you're gonna be 100,000. So big trades, the way that we can interpret this is typically trading against, I would say. Let's look at a few examples. To make this as absolutely simple as possible, I'll do transparent. I don't think I have to say anything. I think that this kind of shows it itself. What pattern do you see? Green means large market buy, red means large market sell. Now, there's a pretty clear pattern that I see here that's pretty cool. But you guys can type in chat what you see. Yeah, so if it's not obvious, I can clearly see that these large market buys act as reversals to the downside. These large market sells acted as even better reversals to the upside. Let's go take a look at historically, you know, how this is. Oh Lord. That was a large trade. That's a very large circle right there, and a very large delta too. Oh, that would have been a beautiful trade to take. We actually see a large amount of market buying here. If you had market sold that, or I mean limit sold that, whew, that would have been really nice. From 175.75 down to 171.6. That would have been really fun. Yeah, and then we see a large sell trade here and price rises. We see a large sell trade here and price rises. Market top by big trade. I mean, just it's a great indicator. This is hilarious. So that's what yeah, and then I want to zoom in on this too. So you can see that here, this made up the market low. This made up around the market low, and this made up a short-term market low. Now you may think, wait, this is so confusing. At the beginning of the live stream, you were talking about momentum of market orders where, hey, if there's more market buying than market selling, price tends to rise. But as I keep stressing, and the reason I keep repeating this is because it's probably the most important part of reading order flow, is you have to be able to discern between massive volume and average or little volume. When you see more market buying than market selling, and it's just average market buying, nothing crazy, and no crazy volatility, price is probably going to rise and continue to rise after more market buyers come in. But when you see a massive, massive trade of large market buying or large market selling, that's actually when the reverse tends to occur. So what I would recommend is if you like to use big trades and stacked imbalances, I would actually put your stacked imbalances at a lower setting so that you can see those tinier, those smaller market trades, and just use big trades to see big trades. Because I can clearly see here that this tended to act as a reversal. Now, it's not showing me any more than that. There is a way to fix that, and I got a lot of questions on this, so I'm going to do that right now. You go here, you go to Settings, M5. Default loaded days is at 4. Okay, I'm going to put this to 3. Maybe that'll fix it. I don't know. Apply. There they are. And let's see how much data we can go back. Okay, it's still being kind of like annoying. Let's look at XBT USD, and then I want to go on into actually quizzing you guys on live market reading. That'll be fun. Yeah, on XBT USD, I think I want to change my settings because I think I'm going to need to go for something a little bit higher than that. How about 1 million? Oh, minimum volume was just set for me. I guess I just didn't really have a choice with that one. Let's make that a little bit cleaner. Or actually, is there a 1 million that looks better? 1 million? Okay. But what we can clearly see here is there's a large amount of limit sells near price and not many bids. So it looks like there's a large amount of selling pressure that may, press price a bit lower. Would we have done well if we counter traded this? Well, if we would have market sold here, that would have done well. If we would have market bought here, that probably would have done pretty badly. If we would have market bought here, that probably would not have done well. If we had market sold here, that probably wouldn't be the best either. If we market sold here, that'd be okay, I guess. But it really looks like that Ethereum had beautiful patterns of big trades, of just big trades leading to reversals, and XBT, Bitcoin didn't really as much. This is a pretty small sample size. But yeah. Okay, so let's go on. I'm going to go to chat, and then after this, I want to take a few questions, and then I'm going to be doing a live tape reading. So we're going to be looking at the order book live. And I'm going to quiz you guys based on what do we see and what can we predict. All right. So let me just read over the chat. Dynamic levels, liquidations. The biggest ones look like that because of liquidations. Yeah, that are immediately counter-traded. SI is continuation in big trades is reversal. Maybe do a continuation, SI and a reversal, SI to get good comp. This is so many acronyms, my God. So many acronyms. Acronyms. Okay. Now, if you guys have any questions on the cluster charts, if you have any cluster charts are this one here. And let me get rid of this indicator. If you have any questions on reading price volume or on these indicators, please do ask. If not, we are going to move on to the final segment. So I'll wait for that. Yeah, I agree. Cluster and XBT now is looking awesome. Great momentum downwards. All right. Well, I'm looking at the Ethereum looks pretty awesome, I guess. Okay, I'll look at XPT. Oh, geez. That is quite the imbalance, I see. Yeah, there's just no market buying at this top. Look at this, guys. Do you see how much market selling there was? There was a period of massive market buying followed by a period of massive market selling, right? Massive market buying, massive market selling. When you tend to see that, that's gonna act as a reversal more often than not. Pattern occurred here as well. Look, lots of market buying, then lots of market selling in an uptrend, and price went down. Lots of market buying, then lots of market selling, and price went down. Now, we could actually try to guess where this is going to bounce just by using ATAS. Right now, I see a pretty negative delta, but I'm not seeing anything extreme. This isn't looking like anything crazy. I mean, this is a large amount of selling, but not really looking like something that's going to shoot back upward. So I think price should, continue going lower until I see a massive market sell or a massive market buy, basically. My cluster chart settings, what I can do is I can just share them. I can just share them with you after the stream, or I could actually just show you the settings here so you guys can copy me while you're also trading live. You go to settings, we go to cluster charts, and for XPT, I actually might want to do a 10K. So that's each number is volume divided by 10K. For Ethereum, I like to use 1K, but I might just use 10K for this one, but this is it. You can change this to an 8. Oh, that's better. Yeah, these are my settings if you want to take a screenshot or do something with that. I don't like auto size. Oh, actually, wait. Do I like auto size? Makes it kind of like... Okay, I do like auto size. Reversal there. I like auto size. Okay. Because I like how it bolds the numbers and makes them look kind of more like jumpy outy. More jump out at you. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. But we see a large amount of market selling here. Wait, what's going on at that bottom? Wait a second. Do you guys see this? Market sells versus market buys. Okay, things are changing now. See that? Do you see this on this cluster chart? Let's oh no, I did not mean to hit that. Apologies to all. Let's go to the 1 minute and let's go take a look at what's going on. Okay, that is thank you, ATAS. That was very, very helpful of you. Now I have to reload my data. Yep, so we are beginning to see a period of market buying. We had a great delta of just clear market selling, just people more interested in selling, people more interested in selling, and a beautiful market top from a massive delta. Boom. All right, let's see how much pressure the bears are going to put on these guys. How much market buying are these guys going to do? How much market buying are these guys going to do? We'll see, and we'll do a quiz on it too. No problem. Yeah. All right, so without further ado, let me go into what I had promised many of you guys, and probably the reason why you're also tuned into the stream, is I'm going to go to the Smart DOM, and we are going to live predict. We're going to live predict what's going to happen. This is not easy, but do your best, and we'll see what we can do, okay? So here's the first example. You were looking at, okay, it's not on Ethereum yet. There we go. You're looking at Ethereum right now. Look at the bids, look at the offers, but just focus more on the market orders here. Now, tell me in about a minute, do you think it's more likely that price will go up or down? I mean, my answer here, I don't want to say it because that would probably like influence your guys' answer, but I see something happening that's indicative of something. Are my market order trackers working right? Because it looks like only 5 contracts market bought and 80 market sold. That's not much volume traded at all. Okay, 85, it is working. Yeah. So yeah, let's take a live look at the DOM. Let's look at the large sell walls, the large buy walls, 164.1 and 164.6, and tell me what you see. So you guys can just type in chat where you believe price is going to go. Yeah, there you go, down. Huge bells right there, small bells continuation down. Yeah, no one uses market orders on Ethereum, exactly. But yeah, White Rock, you might be right. We will see. All right, so we currently had an imbalance of 82,000 versus 80. We had 82,000 market sold and 80 contracts market bought. So I'm clearly seeing more people are interested in market selling than market buying. Okay, is this an absurd amount, like 8 million, that would probably actually cause price to go up? No, it is not. It is just a normal amount of market selling. Nothing, you know, nothing too crazy. I'm also seeing a good amount of pressure from the limit orders here too. But guys, I'm just seeing a lack of interest. I mean, only 21 contracts market bought. I'm just not seeing any interest in the buyers here. It seems like the sellers really just want to keep selling. So, White Rock, you might be right on this one. We have an 11,000 sell and a 21 buy on the bid. 123,000. And if you want, oh, that's cool as well. What you also can do is take a look at this. Do you see how many offers were just placed and how many bids were just pulled? These minuses mean that bids are pulled. Do you see just how many limit buy orders are being pulled here and how many limit sell orders are being placed here? This is showing me that there's an influx of supply and a reduction in demand because the bids are leaving. The guys who want to buy, they're pulling their orders. And the guys who want to sell are placing more and more orders. So, I mean, you know, we'll see. But it seems like there's a large amount of selling interest at these levels here. And in the meantime, I also do want to show one other thing that we had up here in the meantime. So make your prediction on, you know, what I had showed you. And I think for those in the Discord, they had probably already seen this. But this was an example from Luis, who took a picture as well. And what you can see here, I know you guys have seen this before, but you can look at the imbalances here. We have a 65,000 market sold versus 280,000. Yeah. So we actually had a large amount of, we had an unfinished auction at that level too. But you can clearly see that we have more market selling than market buying. Is that right? We have, yeah, 16,000 versus 157,000. 250,000 versus 3516 prices kept going down. And then down here you can see that there's imbalances of the buys over the sells, where the buys are at 98,000 here and are at 48, sells were at 48,000 here. So why am I showing you this? Well, it's important that you just always keep a track of who's in control of the momentum of the market, because that's probably what is going to lead to, oh, we were right. Well, look at that. So a few, like what, 2 minutes ago I had said that many bids were pulled and many offers were placed. And price went up, price went down. I mean, yeah. There you go. My market figures are totally different. How are your market figures totally different? Yeah, it would have to be because of the video delay. Yeah, you guys were all right. God, you guys have really just like, I was expecting a lot of confusion and people like not understanding this, and I would have to walk through step by step instead of just kind of going quicker into strategy. But it seems like you guys got this. I mean, not like 100%. I don't have this 100% even. But I'm proud of you guys who are you know, trying these tougher tools. And the trader of the week comes to mind, Cryptoleptic. Yeah, Cryptoleptic, who he's put a lot of time into this, and a lot of other traders have put a lot of time into this too. And I think that if you continue to master this, that the payoffs are going to be, you know, really, really good. If you just continue to do what may seem boring, you know, looking at this for like 10 minutes just for practice, it's not fun. I mean, I find it fun, but you guys might not find it fun. But the reason that you're doing this is so that you can get better, is so that you can increase your pattern recognition. And I mean, there's no better skill that I can think of than pattern recognition and trading. I mean, you know, like risk management, but that's not really a skill. You need to be able to understand these patterns, and you know, that's how you profit off them. Beautiful example that occurred down here, guys. Market sold of 16K, market buy of 58K, and price rose. And then we had an imbalance of the buys over the sells. When I was actually just like chatting and looking at Discord and showing you guys that, we actually saw an imbalance of the buys over the sells. So price fell that first time as we had all expected it to. Then price rose because we have an imbalance and we had more buys than sells. You could totally scalp this, guys. And what I mean by that is probably using limit orders. But you could use hotkeys even to place orders at the best bidder at the best offer. Or, you know, you could do something like this. That is not attractive, but, you know, click that and that's much more attractive. But there are a lot of ways you can trade in ATAS, and I don't really want to get into all the ways today because this is more of a strategy seminar than a, you know, this is how you trade seminar. But that is an option for you as well. All right, chat. We are looking at the current DOM on my chart. What do you see? Is price going to go up or down? What do we see? I'm not going to answer this one. I don't want to, you know, sway the vote in any way. Is no one market selling at 25? I mean, what's going on here? That value just kind of like disappeared. I think that might just be, that value did not disappear. Right on cue. Never mind. Yeah, but what do we think's happening? What do we think's happening here? Exactly. What's more fun than being a real fortune teller? I mean, like, yeah, that's kind of what you're doing with this kind of stuff, with this super short-term micro trend analysis. Because if you get really good at this, like really good, and are able to 90% this, or like 95% correct, then you can just scalp all day and night, you know, and just scalp, and just make money that way. You know, as long as you control your risk, and that 5% of the time that you're wrong, you know, you take a loss. But if your gains and losses are the same, and you're right 95% of the time, then yeah, I don't need to go any further than that. So awesome, you're using hotkeys. Yeah, the hotkeys seem really well. They work on charts. They work on the DOM. Okay, so now we have down, up, down, def, more offer. Let me go back to the chart. I just want to read what you guys are saying. More offer pressure. I see more market buying. So you guys are all over the place with up or down. Well, we'll see who's right in the very short term. Like, we'll see, is price going to go from 164.3 / 164.25? Are we going to get a 164.2 / 164.25? That's when the bid is here, the offer is here. Or are we going to get something where the bid is here and the offer is here? One of those things is going to happen eventually. Currently, to answer this question, I do see about an equal amount of limit buys and limit sells at the top of the order book and at the bottom of the order book. But let's go take it market buying versus market selling, guys. I see more market selling than market buying. Do you guys see anything different that I'm not seeing here? All that we're focusing on right now, all that you need to focus on are just the market sells versus market buys, and how many limit buys there are and how many limit sells there are. And I'm seeing a 15.8K versus a 21K. So it seems like there's more interest in selling than there is interest in buying. That could change in a heartbeat, though, because these numbers are tiny. 21,000 contracts is nothing. And 16,000 contracts is nothing, too. So I'm just, if you were to actually scalp this live, I think you'd want to wait for a little bit more of a confirmation before doing anything. Seems like it's just bouncing between those two. How confusing would I make it if I did this? I have an idea. Oh wait, why do I always why am I clicking this when I could just drag it there? So my columns are cut off. Wait, what do you mean? Let me see. No, it looks fine to me. Seems like the live stream looks fine to me. Those figures are different. Yeah, I don't think... what I was going to do is, watch this. I am going to place the XBT USD. Okay, this is super professional. No, I do not want to do that. Wait, why is it doing that? I am just trying to... Okay, ATS is being not fun right now. But what I want to do is put the XBT right... Oh, that is just beautiful. Look how excited we are by the flashing numbers. Boom city. Okay, topmost. All right, now I feel very... Wait, where'd it go? Come on. No, don't go away. It left me. Come on. Yeah, you go here. Oh, I think it's because I tried to pin it. Watch the rest of this video just be me dragging windows around and trying to get this thing to work. Okay. Okay, you go here. You go here. Okay, this is gonna work. I feel this one working this time. Come on. Okay. Success. We made it, boys and girls. This is a lot of numbers, but this is both live DOMs. It is fucking mesmerizing. Pardon my English. Yeah, so this is a lot of information that you're gonna be taking in, but let's take a look. All right, what do you see on Bitcoin, and what do you see on Ethereum? All right, someone just added me. Okay, what is going on? Oh, is this like a question about like how to set up a chart? Oh, okay, never mind. I thought it was like a... Okay, wait, where did my thing go? Perfect. All right, yeah. So I'm going to deal with that later. Hopefully there's no like lag as well. But I want you to look at this chart and tell me if we're going up or down. Look at both. It's very, very mesmerizing when you understand what you are looking at. So I want you to basically just focus on the market buys and the market sells on XBTNF. Just keep it simple that way. I'm seeing a dominance of the market buys on Ethereum. On Bitcoin, I'm not seeing as much action, but it seems like the buyers on Ethereum are really enjoying this. They're doing their thing, and you can also see that the bids are increasing. Like, look at that. You know, the bids are increasing at that level. So interessante. Yeah. Wait, did you say up? Jared Peterson said up. He was absolutely correct. BB, did you say up? I don't know. Up. Yeah, okay. Okay, you did. Yeah, you did say up. Good job. Credit where credit's due. So Ethereum went up. You answered the question of, are we going to go to one tick higher? And yeah, we did go one tick higher. Now, take a look at Bitcoin this time. Instead of Ethereum, let's go take a look at Bitcoin, and let's go look on XBT what's going to happen. So Luis says, it seems like there's more limit and market buys on Bitcoin, so price would be likely to go higher. The one thing is that I'm seeing a pretty large offer at 50.89. That could have an effect on price. I see a 1 million contract offer at 50.89, and it looks like contracts are being added to that level and are not being pulled. So your prediction is that Bitcoin will move higher. All right, that's fair. Is Ethereum going to mean revert and go back down, or is Ethereum going to continue going higher? What do you guys think? Yeah, I'm still seeing a dominance of market buys over market sells on Bitcoin here. We're beginning to see the market sells come in. Maybe that could actually do something on Ethereum. Maybe mean reverts back down. We didn't have much trading interest here, so I wouldn't be surprised if price was able to cut through that. Yeah, 50.89 might act as resistance, but here's one way you can actually tell if it's going to be resistance or not. If price moves up and then you see this number completely drop to something negative and all these limit orders are pulled, guess what? That was likely a spoof. And that's why I like looking at the ask change and the bid change, because you can see when those orders were pulled. Yep, price did mean revert back down. Oh, okay, so that makes sense. Okay, the world makes sense. It took me a long time to understand what was actually going on. Why didn't I explain this before? Do you guys see why this value dropped? So what's really cool about this is you don't have to refresh it because it refreshes itself. Look, there was a lot of market buying at 164.4 about 2 minutes ago. You can go look at that. But what happened was once price went down and then started transacting at 164.4 again, it actually reset it so that you can see the new market buys instead of the old market buys. So that's actually good because these values are not showing historical, that first run up. It's showing the new run up. So let's say the price goes down to a 164.3 or 164.35. That number will disappear if price goes down to here. If price goes down to here, that number is going to disappear in the market buys, and you're going to get an entirely new market buy value. That's actually pretty cool that ATAS does that they're able to reset the values for market buy versus market sells so that, you can discern between heavy buying pressure 1 minute ago versus 2 hours ago at the same price. So I hope you guys understood what I just said and what that means, because that is pretty important if you're looking at the live DOM. Cool feature. So it looks like Ethereum's just kind of mean reverting a bit. Bitcoin's not really doing anything. If only we had high volatility during this live stream, that would make this like 5 times more fun. But to recap on what we talked about today, guys, the lessons in the lessons that you want to take from this to apply to your own trading. We talked about the smart DOM, and we began with looking at DOM, and we looked at some pictures, we looked at some figures. Then after that, we looked at cluster charts, and then we looked at indicators. How do you put all this into a strategy is probably what you're wondering. Well, you have 2 options. One is to use this really short-term kind of information that I'm showing as scalping and just making live trades based off like just the DOM. I mean, that's one way to play this game. Oh, Ethereum's increasing, and Bitcoin's stagnant. The second thing that you can do is limit order placement. So let's say that you are a medium-term to long-term trader and you want to get better at limit order placement. This would be the way to go because then you can actually try to time the momentum correctly so that you don't, end up buying and then have the market move 1% against you in the short term. But if you're a scalper, I mean, this is going to be your heaven. This is really the best that it gets, If you're more medium-term, long-term, I guess, MDR BAS is pretty good, medium-term, long-term, but I can't think of anything that beats ATAS and the tools that they have within a few minutes. In predicting where price will go in the next 5 minutes, I can't think of a better one. Smart Tape is good. It's going to show the market orders and market sell orders and market buy orders, but it's going to group them together. I haven't because I wanted to just keep this organized on just charts and DOM. I didn't want to make this a live stream where I was mentioning every single tool, where I was going through all 4 of them, all prices, and just throwing at you a ton of information. What I wanted with the seminar was to give you guys 2 or 3, just 2 or 3 concepts, because if you can Bitcoin going down, because if you can master just 2 or 3 concepts, that is infinitely more powerful than being able to kind of learn 205 concepts. If you get really good at this, I mean, it's going to speak for itself. So what I would recommend you guys do after this video, and potentially even during this video now, is continue watching, my screen here and the DOM, and try to really understand the order book and try to really understand the depth of market. And once you begin to have a really good feel for the market orders and the limit orders, then you can begin to graduate to looking at limit order pulling and limit order placement, which is here. No, you can use limit orders. You can totally use limit orders, Jared. You could use market orders or limit. I would say limit orders, yeah. One way to use limit orders in this kind of strategy is, let's say there's a situation where you see high momentum, lots of market buying, lots of bids coming in, and the price just goes down a little bit. It's not massive selling volume. It's just a little bit of selling volume. You could try to limit buy that. You could try to just buy on that retracement and get the rebate, because you have the expectations that those buyers are going to continue to buy at higher and higher prices. So if you're able to position yourself on a little bit of a retracement, I mean, you're good to go. What do you recommend for scalping via limit orders? When I try, well, I just answered that. Yeah, you've never fulfilled because there's big buying or selling pressure. That has to do with the supply and the demand runs. And that's why you want to, in an uptrend, just wait for a retracement. Look at the volume of that retracement, though, because what you don't want to have happen is, do I have it set up? Awesome. What you don't want to have happen is, you know, I mean, this would have been a great place to limit sell. You see a large amount of selling pressure here by looking at, you know, the handy-dandy market sell versus market buy. I'm seeing, you know, lots of selling here, lots of red numbers. Okay, it looks very bearish. You see a little bit of buying here, but nothing that crazy. This is where you want to limit sell. Around here, because, you know, and price went lower. And as long as this delta stays negative, I mean, you're probably going to be good to go. And the beautiful thing was you could see exactly what happens when the delta changed. You know, price went up, delta changed, price went up here. If I go on the 5-minute, just to show you guys as well, looking for changes in delta, you know, good time to stay in, good time to stay in. You're just making more money here, more profit, and then, you know, maybe a time to get out. We have a red delta here, so price could, you know. But delta is a great thing to look at. Yeah. All right, so we have a question on. Oh geez, I'm gonna have to load both now. Oh, thank God. I don't want to have to drag those windows and. All right, back to the question. Can you explain buy ask, sell ask, and buy bid, sell bid? Yeah. So what that's talking about, that's a very, very important difference. Yeah. So with White Rock's question, buy bid would be placing a limit order at the top bid, I believe, and then buy sell offer or sell ask will be placing a limit order at the bottom offer, bottom ask. So if we're looking at Ethereum, right, and you click the button buy bid, you are going to be placing a limit buy order at 164.3, and if you place sell offer, you're going to be sell ask, you're going to be placing a limit sell order at 164.35. Now, before you just take this, I would recommend just doing a one contract trade, just like, you know, one contract, and just try to play around with the settings before you actually start trading with your, you know, bigger volume. Unless you just normally trade with one contract, then you're out of luck. But yeah, practice with this first. Practice with hotkeys with extremely low volume, because, you know, if you're trading with a million contracts, you don't want to make a hotkeys mistake and accidentally market buy, you know, and then have price tank. That's suicide. So that's what I believe is buy ask. Well, I have to tell you what the other one is now. When you click buy ask, that's a market buy order. So that's buying the ask here. If you push sell bid, that's selling here. Yeah, but you're actually using a limit order. So, but when you buy bid, sell ask, you're using limit orders. When you buy offer, I mean, when you buy ask or sell bid, you're using market orders. Yeah, I mean, you're going to get a rebate on BitMEX if you do this. If you buy the bid or sell the offer, if you sell the ask. I keep correcting myself. It's offer and ask are interchangeable, but like, whatever. They call it ask. So I think one reason why people started calling them offers instead of asks is because just the word asks is just not fun to say. But bid is like, yeah, it's a bid. Okay. Tangent over. All right, let's take another look at the DOM, and I want you guys to tell me, do you see more pressure on the more buying pressure, more selling pressure? Bitcoin went down. We had a large amount of selling, and it looks, you know, strong here. We have some gaps here in the DOM. Ethereum, I think, is much easier to read than XPT, in my opinion. With my correct predictions on the DOM, I've had better success with Ethereum than with Bitcoin. I just think it's more clear. So if you're looking to scalp or looking to trade, Ethereum might be your go-to. You know, just because it is. Okay, now we're seeing actually. Okay, this got interesting. Look at all this market buying and lack of market selling as price rose. Interesting. But now we have a pretty large offer and really not much, not many bidders. So what may happen? What is price going to go down a little bit, then come right back up? I mean, or are we going to get some bidding strength coming in? 104,000 added. But yeah, this has been great, guys. Thank you guys for joining me. And for anyone watching the VOD right now or watching just the video, the non-live stream version, hi, how you doing? Thank you for sticking with us. We only covered a few things today. We covered the order book. We covered the depth of the market. We covered some chart stuff, like unfinished auctions and stacked imbalances and looking at cluster charts. Potentially in the future, we could go into something more advanced. But I can tell you this. If you look at this and you actually understood the high majority of this, you are very well off. This is not easy stuff, guys. This is harder than anything that I've ever done in trading. So, I mean, if you're on top of this, then the world is yours, But I would recommend, after I end this video and go back, practice more. Don't just have this be your practice and then just start trading. I would say look at these DOMs a little bit longer, practice with them, and really try to get a feel for when. Go full screen with this one. Try to get a feel for when, price is going to go up or down. Because if you can predict when price is going to go up or when price is going to go down, then you make money. So now we see the market buy, just clean market buying, just at higher prices. So it seems like that offer was actually eaten into, because I didn't see much of a reduction. So it must have been a lot of market buying. But yeah, the buyers look actually kind of strong on Ethereum. I'm seeing good momentum. But if you guys have any final questions before I do head out and the stream, please do ask them. Let me check Discord for that too. Oh, you guys are going off on many different things way beyond. I'm happy to have done this seminar. I enjoy this stuff, and in preparing for this seminar, I did research on a lot of NOFT order flow. His videos are really, really good. So NOFT is a YouTuber who does videos kind of like this. There's also some other YouTubers that I honestly did not remember the name of, but I got their input, and I watched their videos to really come up with what I want to talk about today. And a lot of what they stressed was not actually limit order imbalance, like looking at, hey, are there more bids, are there more offers? Actually market order imbalances, because they believe that if you can see the imbalances when more people want to buy than people want to sell, and you're also able to interpret when price is making a major high because you see an absurd amount of buying, I mean, that's actually a really powerful tool. All right, White Rock, what is the question? Spoof on your smart DOM. So the far right and the far left. Yep. Spoof on your smart DOM. So I see, yeah, but that's pretty advanced. What we're talking about right here is looking at these values here, which are the change. When you see a major minus, that means that many orders were pulled from that level. But instead of trying to read, this is just beautiful demand, guys. There's no one market selling. Look at that. There's just no one market selling. It's just all been market buying. I mean, just clean trend. Clean trend. And it's just going to keep going up. But you can see that began right here. The imbalance is right here. The imbalance is right here. These imbalances led to that. So you could take advantage of that. What we're looking at for here is you just basically want to look for major reduction and major lots of limit orders being pulled and lots of limit orders being placed. So we can see levels of high demand are places where many limit orders have been placed historically. But I want to make one distinction. That number reads about 329K. This actual bid level is 1.4 million. So what this means is that from the point that I had started my DOM, this many orders have been added to that level. This is the live bid. This is the change. And do you see just how many bids are being added? This is another thing that I want you guys to focus on. And if you understood everything today, listen up on this. Yeah, look, it's important to look at reduction and look at how many orders are being placed and pulled at these farther away levels. But it's these top three levels, these top three bids, and these top three offers that you really need to focus on. Now, do you see in the top three offers and in the top three bids more limit orders being placed or pulled? What do I see? Well, look at these top three right here. I'm clearly seeing many limit orders being placed here, right? What do I see here? Well, I'm actually seeing a lot of limit sell orders were being pulled around here, but we actually had an influx of supply coming in here. That is one advanced way that you can actually scalp this with an even better success rate. Look at near price. Look at cancellations and placements near price. And you can see many offers have been added. My lord, that's a lot of pressure coming in. See? Many offers are being added on Ethereum right now. And the bids are running. The bids are being pulled. See that? The bids gave up. And price drops. How cool was that? For a bunch of numbers, I think that was decently cool. So what I basically saw there was we had a major influx of limit sell orders and a major reduction in bids. And then at that split second, we had a few seconds of reaction time where we could have, traded that. And then price fell. But look again, and if you want to do something, I'm going to just do this. So that's actually, you see it's just refreshing the feed for the placing and the pulling on the DOM. But now we can actually see more recent placements versus pulls of these orders. I mean, nothing too special now, but I'm seeing an influx of demand at these levels. So it seems like the buyers are not, well, actually this is nothing. Now they're kind of running. Oh, now they're adding. They're kind of adding. Are the sellers adding or are they leaving? Looks like they're kind of leaving. The sellers are leaving the market here, right? And it looks like the buyers are beginning to enter, are beginning to place limit orders, and the sellers have just been reducing their limit sell orders. All right, guys. So that is one more thing that you can look at for the DOM is to look at the change. I'm gonna end this stream here. It's been a lot of fun, guys. It's been a good hour and a half, even though we had that first stream that that lagged out. It happens. So thank you guys for being here. And if you guys have any other questions, you can leave them in chat. You can try to do this yourself or go look at some other YouTube videos that might help you out a little bit more. With that, happy trading, and I'll see you guys soon.